Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to talk about the newly launched drug by DRDO in collaboration with CCMB that has been recently approved by DGCI as an adjunct therapy for COVID-19 affected patients who need maintenance of their oxygen level in case of critical cases. Now, what basically the drug is? This D2G drug is not a new drug. It was an earlier anti-cancer medicine which was being administered to kill cancer cells in case of patients, but due to some complication, it is not being widely recognized as an treatment for cancer patients. So we'll discuss why it is so, and now it is being administered or it is being approved as a treatment for COVID-19 infected patients who have a low dip in oxygen levels in their body, and for maintaining the oxygen levels in case of such critical cases, this drug is proven to be very effective. So now we'll discuss what is the mechanism behind this drug and how it plays a significant role in the stoppage of further growth of viral cells in the affected patients. Now, before moving ahead, let's get into some the biochemistry of our body cells and how it produces energy. In our body, the cells uptake glucose from different sources through the transporter which are present in the cell layers. The GLUT transporter transports the glucose in the cell where it undergoes a cycle, where it undergoes a process of glycolysis to produce energy, and this glycolysis is the main or the key player in producing energy in our cells, which help us in survival. The glucose we uptake is being converted into pyruvate where the energy is less, but when this pyruvate is further decomposed, it produces the maximum amount of energy required. The glucose, as you can see here, it is being broken down into pyruvate by further steps, and in this whole mechanism, two molecules of ATP and two NADH are produced, which leads to energy generation in our cells. Now, glucose undergoes transformation via different pathways, which involves the formation of glucose 6-phosphate followed by fructose 6-phosphate, and further followed by fructose 1,6-diphosphate, and moving ahead, we get glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which we get pyruvate following a complex pathway, and this pyruvate is then forming lactic acid, which is the major source of energy in our body cells. Now, whole pathway, as you can see, is each and every reaction is catalyzed by certain specific catalysts. Here, in case of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, this is hexokinase, and further for the other steps too. Now, when our body cells uptake the D2G, that is 2-deoxyglucose, the drug, the cells produces undergoes glycolysis pathway and produces 2-DG6P, that is 2-deoxyglucose 6-phosphate, as in case of the earlier glucose forming glucose 6-phosphate. And this, in this case also, this reaction is catalyzed by hexokinase, but the product formed here, 2-deoxyglucose 6-phosphate, acts as an inhibitor, and it further does not leads to the proceed of that glycolysis pathway, as we have seen earlier. The pathway does not move forward like earlier to fructose 6-phosphate, fructose 1,6-diphosphate to form finally pyruvate. It stops the whole chain of reactions, acting as an inhibitor, and we don't get energy, as a result of which the cell dies. So the product inhibition prevents the cells to produce energy, and this lack of energy leads to the cells division getting halted, and thus reducing the number of cells. Because cell division on getting halted, we need the we means I am talking about a system. The system, due to production of less amount of cells, now does not need the same amount of oxygen as it needs earlier, because the cell division, which was quite rapid, has been stopped due to a an inhibitor being produced because of the administration of the drug in the body cells, and this inhibition further stops the cell division, which halts because of lack of energy, and this lack of energy indirectly helps in maintaining the oxygen level in the already affected oxygen level dipped patient, because when the viral infected cells in our body gets reduced in amount, then the oxygen level which was being required more and more in case, because of the highly huge number of affected cells, gets lowered, because when the cells are getting affected more and more, we need more and more oxygen for the survival of the cells. But when the cell division gets halted and most of the cells starts dying due to the lack of energy, then the oxygen level required for the normal system to sustain is also getting less, and the overall oxygen level of the body gets stabilized to a normal level, so that we can keep the patient stable for the sustained amount of period for further treatments to be carried on that patient, and thus we can reduce the oxygen dependency of that patient. So in molecular level, the D-glucose and deoxy-D-glucose have only a difference of one oxygen atom in their structures, as you can see in both these cases. Now, this is an adjuncted therapy, because if I talk about that, when a cell is uptaking 2D2G, then it further stops the glycolysis pathway and the cell dies due to lack of oxygen. But it is not being found out till now, or not in public domain, that this medicine only affects the viral infected cells, and the normal cells are not being affected by it. The same thing, that is, the if the normal cells, if they start taking D2G, then the further then the further stoppage of the growth of normal cells, which are required for the body to live, if they tend to get much and much lower, in case of, like, suppose we imagine a body requires if a system requires 1 billion cells to survive, 1 billion normal cells to survive, if the system gets infused with the D2G, then, as like, the normal cells might also get affected by the drug, because it is only a form of glucose. The D2G is just a form of glucose. Then it is being not reported that this normal cell can't take the D2G. Only the viral infected cells or the cancer cells can only take the D2G, and only their growth will be stopped or halted. It, in many cases, it is seen that the normal cells are also getting affected by it. So in case of cancer patients, it was not proven to be quite an efficient treatment, because in cancer cells, it was being in cancer patients, it was being reported that this treatment also affects the normal cell growth in the body, and further leads to complications where very much low energy levels, very much no energy levels of the cell is being reported. So this therapy was very much not into action in case of cancer patients. But in case of COVID-19 infected patients, it is being reported that this drug works as an adjunct therapy in very critical cases, because for a sudden period of time, it can very surely or very efficiently help in maintaining back the normal oxygen level, because of in high decrease in the COVID-19 affected cells. As you can see here, the dying cells, when administered with D2G, they get substantially reduced in number, as a result of which the cell number decreases of infected cells, and we need less amount of oxygen to maintain the cell division, and the oxygen dependency gets lowered, and a high proportion of patients on being treated with D2G show RT-PCR negative. So this drug is being proven to be effective in case of critical COVID-19 patients who have an oxygen deficiency problem, and it is an adjunctive therapy. And the good part is that liver and kidney cells don't readily uptake the drug, so thus these vital organs are not affected by the uptake of D2G, and they continue to maintain their oxygen levels, and the cells continue to grow, normal cells continue to grow in them in the general glycolysis pathway producing energy. So this is a schematic diagram. When D2G is infused in case of COVID-19 infected cells, the cell growth stops because of the whole process of energy generation gets halted due to the production of a inhibitor in the glycolysis pathway that is being maintained by cells. Now, it has been reported that 42% reduction in oxygen dependency of cells happen if, and these cells help to prevent oxygen in over oxygen dependency patients. So this drug is proven to be very effective in case of the heavily infected patients who need a sudden amount of relief in case of oxygen level dependency, so that further treatment can be carried out for their survival from the infection. So this drug is being approved recently as an adjunctive therapy, and it is still not being made totally available in the market. It isn't being administered in all levels till now because it is an adjunctive therapy, and it is only being advised to be given in case of critical cases where uh, it can prove as a very vital drug to help in the survival of the patient for an immediate period of time for further treatments to be carried on him or her. So this was it. Thank you very much. I hope you like the video. If you like it, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.